Hello guys, and in today's YouTube video we're going to be talking about the new dungeon that has just been released into Destiny 2 and kind of give our thoughts, or my thoughts rather, my opinions on the dungeon and kind of just whether or not it was something I deemed as good or bad. And I'd also like for you guys in the comments to do the same thing because I just would be interested to hear. And honestly, just to say it, I feel like a lot of people have negative opinions about this dungeon. The dungeon's name is Spire the Watcher, and it is on Mars. And I personally enjoy the fact that it is on Mars. That's just me. And just because that's not really a place that we don't have Mars anymore. And I'll go right off the bat that I think the dungeon is very, very easy. Probably the easiest dungeon like we've ever had in Destiny 2, actually. And I don't know, I've seen a lot of people like instantly say like, what was it? Shattered Throne was very easy, but I feel like this is easier. And I don't know. It kind of is underwhelming almost in a way because it's like the challenge, like it's just the dungeon's over and all the hype of like beating the dungeon or like the difficulty of the dungeon and like feeling what is it? Not complete, but feeling accomplished is just like out the window. Just like, oh yeah, the dungeon, it's cool. The weapons I will say are very good. I think the scout can be super good. You can get rapid hit kill clip, I've heard on that, and it can 2-tap, and that's super exciting for me personally because I like to hot swap to scouts because I'm a little rat, and you know, fuck it, why not? And the sidearm, actually don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I have it, but I wanted to make a video on it tonight. Like as I'm recording this, I wanted to record a video on me using the sidearm, but unfortunately Dim and Destiny 2 armor picker are down because the API is down or whatever, or they've taken down the API to try to fix the server issues. So I was unable to record that video tonight because I wanted to like put a build together and use like a super specific build with the sidearm, but I can't. But anyway, the weapons seem super good. The GL has a double shot, like it fires 2 shots, which is really unique for a GL. I don't think there's any GL in the game that has ever had that, so that's going to be something that I'm sure in the coming weeks or even days that you'll see people talking about and potentially devising, you know, builds with it. And it might even be the new best GL for PvE potentially, and maybe PvP if you get the right role. I'm not quite sure about that. I don't really know what warrants a GL being good in PvE or PvP rather. But I know a good portion of the weapons are very strong. The LMG is kind of underwhelming because it's a, I think, 360 archetype, and unfortunately that archetype's not that great. And I think the armor is actually very unique and pretty sick. Like the hunter armor, the cloak gives you like a cowboy hat, and that to me, my good buddy Newberry is gonna have a really good time with that cowboy hat. That cowboy hat's probably never gonna come off. That's gonna be on him 24/7, and he's gonna have a really good time with that. And I think it honestly looks pretty cool as well. Like I even thought I might use it, but probably not. Most likely not. I think the armor looks very nice in this dungeon. Certainly a lot better than the armor from Duality, in my opinion. And to kind of touch on the like level design and the mechanics. The mechanics are really easy. Basically, you just shoot. You get the arc charge from a Minotaur, and after you do that, you basically chain arc to a certain point. You have to find the starting point and then take it to the ending point, and you just follow the wires the entire dungeon, and that's pretty much the dungeon. It's just getting arc or getting charged with arc, conducting the arc through the wires by following the wires and shooting the points of interest. And you know, occasionally with the bosses you'll shoot them, and they're not too difficult. The mechanics aren't too difficult. The one thing I really have to praise, and that I have to really say I enjoyed a lot, is I really enjoyed the level design and the art style. The art, and the reason I say that, obviously it's like you know, Seven Seraph, like Rasputin art design, like, you know, Russian bunker style, I guess. But it was very reminiscent of me to like Sacred Icon from Halo 2, or you know, the Arbiter from Halo 2. Like it was very reminiscent of those levels where you like are going down like this long, like, I don't know, it felt very reminiscent of that to me, and I really enjoyed that personally. And I don't know if that's something that all of you felt. Maybe you didn't even realize that it was reminiscent of that, and now that I've brought it up, maybe you're like, wow, yeah, actually that does kind of, some of the playing spaces do feel like Sacred Icon or some of the portions of Sacred Icon in Halo 2. But that's just, I personally had a really good time with that, and that's something I was sitting there like, wow, this feels a lot like that, but in Destiny 2, and I love that. That's the one thing I enjoyed the most, besides like perhaps the armor in the dungeon. And ultimately, I think it's a decent dungeon. It's definitely not the greatest, and as well, mid the dungeon coming out, we had the Breezy area code or whatever, and that was kind of the catalyst of the API having to be shut down, unfortunately, which is why I'm not recording the video of the sidearm. But anyway, to touch on the sidearm a little bit more, since I just brought it up, the sidearm has some crazy perk rolls, and I think if you guys are looking for good sidearms, it's definitely, you're going to want to farm this dungeon. And I think that's probably the best thing about this dungeon, is it's probably the easiest to farm, honestly. Like, in terms of like the fact that you can get through all of the encounters really quick as long as you know what you're doing, like extremely quick. The hardest part of the dungeon was just like finding where the wires went exactly, like where the starting point was and where the end was. If you know that, it's a super quick dungeon, and I think going through it, like even just going through it like entirely, like start to finish, will be super easy. Obviously, you're not going to want to do that. You probably want to get checkpoint on like a boss encounter and just kind of farm that over and over again. But I mean, it has some good loot, good armor, like decent looking armor that I think would definitely be worth going for some people. And I like the level design. I think the level design is very nice, and I definitely give props to the team, just because, like I said, for me personally, I really enjoyed that like nostalgic the Arbiter Halo 2 mission Sacred Icon vibes like going on in the dungeon, and I had a really good time with that. But once again, didn't really enjoy the fact that it was too easy. You know, the challenge of like, oh my god, this was like really tough when it released, like, and there was not really that there. So unfortunately, but I mean, I liked it overall. I don't think it's a super bad dungeon. Like, oh my god, Bungie, how could you release such a horrible dungeon? I'm so disappointed. But I'm also not like, man, it's so good. Like, this is woo baby Destiny, like, but it's okay. It's a good dungeon, not like nothing crazy, but it's a dungeon, and it's got some good things about it that I enjoy. So anyway, once again, if you have some thoughts in the dungeon in the comments below, please make sure to share them, as I'd like to, you know, just talk about it and hear your guys' thoughts and whether you liked it or didn't like it, and things you did like about it. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.